Villagers, this is your review for 2. Good day, my name is Joe Gerba. Today we'll be going over Villagers and how it plays with 2 players. Now Villagers is a 1 to 5 player game where you'll be starting out much like Machi Koro with very little, with just a founder. You'll be drafting these villagers in this row. At the beginning you'll be getting very few, and by the end you'll be getting potentially 5. You'll be building your village and gaining money along the way, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most money, gold, wins the game. Now let's see a little bit more how to play. So this game is pretty simple to play. Each player will be taking their turns. First it will be the drafting phase. You're going to be drafting the villagers that you want in your hand potentially, and you'll be drafting from the face-up deck or from one of any of the face down. Now you don't know what these cards are going to be if you get them face down, but you know what type they're going to be, and that's a pretty neat mechanic about this game. As you draft and you open up something for your opponent to maybe pick up, if nothing in the face-up row is what you want. So you'll be going through the drafting phase. At the beginning you'll be drafting 2. By the end you may be drafting 5. And you'll be drafting more based on some of the symbols on the cards. And after that you can choose 1 or 2 to keep of these face up. They'll get refreshed. You'll go on to the build phase. The build phase, you have a hand. You start off with 5 cards, and then you add the cards that you drafted, and then you get to build the cards. And building is pretty interesting in this game, as cards may build on each other. Usually you need a base, unless it's a solitary card. But most of these will need, say, take into account the brewer. First you have to put on top of a founder, which is your basic card. To build a shipwright, you need to put on top of the lumberjack. And some of these may have a little chain to build. The cartwright you can't put down until you have the wheeler, which requires the lumberjack. And it's just kind of a neat mechanic where some of these more advanced cards, the ones who have a bigger building chain, may get you more gold, more income throughout the game. However, you have to have the prerequisites first. And another thing about this game is some of these things are hidden behind a couple lock mechanisms. So when you play a card with a lock mechanism, 3 outcomes can happen. This bed builder, you need the carpenter, or you want the carpenter when you put it down, because you'll get 2 gold from the bank. If your opponent has the carpenter and you don't, you got to give 2 gold. And if there's no carpenter on the board, well, instead of having a paywall, you just pay the bank. So one thing you may have to do in this game is discard cards from your hand to get some of these basic cards, these base cards, the miner, the hayer, the lumberjack, and those will form the base, but you do have to discard a card from your hand, to grow your village. And they're really interesting mechanics. Now, once all the bottom row, once you've replenished some of the cards that have been drafted, you go into the market phase, and that's where you'll score some of your initial points. Anything with gold, you'll score. And then you'll continue to play until the second market phase, which will trigger the game end. And then you'll score the gold, any gold on your cards, and any end of game abilities. So that's basically the game. I know I just kind of scratched the surface, but in the essence, it's a drafting game. You get to choose a couple which ones you keep, and it's a little village building, and you want to maximize your points. And let's see a little bit more what I thought about the game. So the components in this game, it's mainly a card game. There's some tokens in the game, but I like the box it comes in. Everything's pretty well organized. But one thing I really do like about this game is the artwork. I think the artwork is pretty cute. It's fun. It's uplifting. There's no malice in the game. There's not any really take that in the game. You're kind of building your own village, and the only direct conflict is making sure that you can take cards from your opponent that you can see that they need for their building chains. They need to one of those key builders, or take a villager that they'll have to pay money to if they put stuff in their village. So it's really neat. There's no malice. I just love I like the artwork. The rules were pretty simple to get down. The rule book's a little bit larger than you would think for a game like this, but it was very well explained, and it was very easy to follow. I also really like the references. There's a 2-player end of draft phase. There's a player aid, the turn sequence board. They give you just enough in this game where you really, once you know it, easy to pick back up. The references are nice and clear. The symbols are nice and clear. They don't overwhelm you with symbols on the cards. There's really just about 4 basic symbols, plus you have to know what the locking mechanism is. And overall, the references in this game are great. Table size, it really doesn't take up that much table size. Easily a 3x3. Setup is nice and easy with this game. Yeah, in this box, they give you some nice dividers, so it's easy to get out and put up when you want to get this game out. As far as playtime goes, I think we can get this game done in about 40 minutes, and that's perfect for this kind of game. We can knock out 2 games back to back, and it's just so easy to pick up and put out. This is one of those games that's really neat in a collection that just easy to get to the table, and I really like that about some of these games. The gameplay in this game is fun, it's interactive, there's not a lot of downtime. You'll be drafting a card, the opponent will be drafting a card, you'll choose which one to keep, you'll build your little village. You won't have to worry too much about your opponent's village unless there's a lock behind it where you may have to pay them 2 gold or so every once in a while, but you're building your own. At the end, you feel that you have this village. It's just a really neat game. Drafting never works too well usually with 2 players, and the bidding mechanic, but this game really does drafting pretty well. There's a lot of options. You can draft from one of the face up, you can draft from one of the face down, but you may reveal a face down to give your opponent. It's a whole lot of fun. It's simple. You're really just you can draft more cards. There's a lot of different strategies you could go. Well, there's a lot of just seeing what's out there. There is the randomness as far as luck versus strategy. You don't know which cards are going to come. If you pull off the top of the deck near the end of the game, who knows what you get? You may get that linchpin kind of card that you need that completes a chain, or you could get just a dud where you don't have enough spaces left in your village to even put the card. But it's a nice game that flows really well. And I don't always talk about flow in these games, but it really just, you go from drafting to building to drafting more to building more, and it just kind of escalates, and it's just a really quick game. You always want that one more turn, but then in the end you realize that it ended at just the right amount of time. It gave you just the right amount of time to make those crucial decisions that you really need for a good, solid, nice, competitive 2-player card game. Now, like I said, there's not a lot of malice, there's not a lot of take that, but you can really try to optimize and really just it's a lighthearted, fun game. So I really do like this game. I love the artwork, just the gameplay just plays so smooth, and once you get the rules down, like I said, you can knock these games out real quick. I really don't have a whole lot of negatives about this game. It's a nice, solid game. So is this game good for 2? And I do really like this game for 2. Drafting mechanics don't always go over well with 2. This plays it just fine. It's quick, a lot of decisions, a lot of different ways you can win. You could just do wood or just do ore, and really try to maximize those end of game bonuses you get. But your opponent's going to have a nice, they may have a bigger spread, a more jack of all trades kind of type, and that's okay. There's just a whole bunch of different ways to play. There's a lot of options that you'll never run out of drafting cards where, say like Terraforming Mars, you draft one good one, your opponent will draft the other good one, the other two usually may not be good. This one, there's plenty of choices. It flows well. I really do like this game for two. So I can't say, like I said, it's not one of my all-time greats, but I'm not going to say no when another person says, hey, you want to play the Villagers? Because it's a quick, easy, once you know how to play, you don't have to remember all the symbols. References are great. I really do like this game. So that's my review of the Villagers, and until next time.